least professional show in the entire station, and they'd like to apologize.
Nope.
For absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you got that right.
Right.
The drive continues now.
Not apologize for nothing. Here's Kyle Madsen.
Definitely not apologizing for giving away Eric Church tickets. That's coming up at 8:35. So just a couple of minutes. 1-800-920-1140, 339-1140. You can win a pair of tickets to the Saturday show of Eric Church's Double Down Tour when he comes to Golden One Center for his epic 2-night experience on November 22nd and 23rd.
Epic.
Tickets and more information, visit KHTK.com.
Before we get into our next guest, before we talk to our next guest, sorry, that would be uncomfortable. I want to do Coors Light Cold Hard Facts because once Eric Hasseltine and I start talking, if you ever want to get a show where there's literally no pause in anything, get a show with me, Hasseltine, and Sean Salisbury on it. And do
you want me to combine our last break? Should I just do that?
Turn on. Can you in radio? You got to turn your mic. There you go.
Well, I didn't know I had to do it.
Well,
what kind of operation you running?
That's
got to turn on their own stuff.
I mean,
you know what? That's on me.
Is that
I'm going to wear that. No, that's fine. I'll wear this.
This is different. This is nice.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, I do actually kind of like it. I like the old place because it's where I began my career. But this is a good setup. You got the whole webcam and all the
two
jerseys
webcams.
Up. Yeah,
even that one.
A couple of TVs up. Yeah, this is nice.
We're on TV right now. We're
I can't believe that
YouTube stream.
Yeah, I heard
Don't
that.
forget the Justin Jackson jersey behind you.
Good thing he's not playing for your team anymore, right?
Right.
I forget. He lit us up.
Where is he? Dallas?
Yeah,
Dallas.
He lit us up end of the year. He had about 14 in the first quarter. Just could not miss.
That's Justin Jackson. He
Classic,
will make you future all-star.
Classic Jackson, right?
and Eric is doing proper radio technique here with that microphone, but it's really bothering me.
I'm just trying to block my face from trying to block my face from being on TV.
Oh, let's go. Can you still hear me?
He has it lifted up. Like I can't do that. My thing won't bend that way.
Well, it's just the way it was situated. The other ones, you put me on this one, so
I did. Yeah. I mean, if you sat there, it'd be weird.
Yeah, that's.
But
true.
now I can only see like half of you. It's like you have an eye patch or something.
What do you want me to do?
No, you're fine.
I mean, next thing you know, you're going to be calling me a nerd with a sleeveless Sturgis Rally T-shirt like yesterday, like that poor guy.
Was that you texting?
You. I swear, I was driving up to Cata Madera and I about wrecked my car 3 times. Somebody said most likely to think that The Expendables is the greatest movie of all time.
I'll take credit for that one. Thank you.
I just went, oh my.
All right, Coors Light Cold Hard Facts.
Strong movie, by the way.
Strong cinematic presence right there. Certainly should have been up for best
time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Fact of the Day. Here's Kyle Madsen.
Hello, Kyle. What cold hard fact do you have for us today?
This is via ESPN Stats and Info, changing it up today.
Are you? You never go there.
Joel Embiid last night, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks. It was his second game with
Ever?
30 points. Yes, his second game, 30 points, 10 boards, and 5 blocks in this postseason. The rest of the NBA has done it once over the last 10 postseasons. Joel Embiid's done it twice.
And what were the numbers again? 30
points, 10 boards, 5 blocks.
Wow. He's
pretty good.
He's pretty good.
He is pretty good.
He might have a future. You know, it's crazy because he took all the time to get back to being able to play after being drafted. When he was a freshman at Kansas, the radio station I just essentially retired from last Friday.
Yes, congratulations
thank
on
you.
that.
The guy on after me is the national college basketball writer for CBS Sports, Gary Parrish. So he went out to Lawrence to do a story on Andrew Wiggins, and Bill Self pulled him aside, and he says, hey, the kid that's probably going to be better is right there.
Really?
And he said, we can't get him out of the gym. He wants to be the next Hakeem Olajuwon. Like, he literally does not stop playing to the point where we have to stop him because he's going to get hurt. And lo and behold, he did. And he kind of alluded to the fact that Andrew Wiggins just played because he was really good at it and didn't really love it.
Came to him naturally and all that. Well, and there was a time, some people forget, but there was a time when we wondered if Joel Embiid would ever step foot on the floor, if he would be, and no disrespect to him, but a Greg Oden type where he would come in and just never get healthy.
I remember the first time I saw him, it was like towards the end of that second year, and we were in Philly late in the year, and he was cleared to go warm up, and he's out on the floor.
By the way, Eric Hasseltine, radio voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, in case I haven't reset that again. So when you say things like we saw him, I want people to understand.
We with the Grizzlies were there. I was walking up to our broadcast spot, and I was walking alongside then Grizzly Marc Gasol, and I looked at him, and I went, man, that guy's a monster. And Mark looked and shook his head, and he goes, he's big. That's all he said in his little Spanish accent. He's big, and I'm like, yeah, that's like saying the sun is hot.
Yeah, seriously. How is it without Mark? Tough adjustment?
It's like, I'm sure it was a similar feeling to when the end of the Weber, Peja, Bibby, Vlade era here, when those guys were all finally gone. It's just different. Mike's still there, Conley, but Jonas Valanciunas came in after the trade and basically averaged 20 and 10.
Sure.
Our issue, as it's been seemingly the last 4 years, was injuries. Like we went into the final week of the season, and a lot of people in Charlotte and Miami are upset with our team because we blew a 22-point lead to Detroit.
Yeah.
To which my reply was, A, win more games on your own and don't worry about other teams trying to help you out. B, our top 8 guys were hurt. The fact we had a 22-point lead was a miracle.
Right.
Like we were playing with guys that were just fighting to show they belonged. And look, here's a great example. You guys had Bruno Caboclo for a hot minute.
Yes.
Didn't exactly look like he was going to amount to much,
the
right?
Brazilian Kevin Durant.
Right, which the fact that anybody has ever uttered that sentence anywhere is nauseating. And I love Bruno. He's a great kid, hard worker. Well, he finally started to get it. He started to get it when he was in Memphis and started to play better basketball to the point where I was like, even at the end of the season, he didn't look like the same kid when we first had him. Remember the game in Memphis when the Kings came to town? Bruno took a horrible 3 and then missed a point-blank look. And essentially, I'm like, well, the new kid just kind of cost us that one.
Yep.
Not like we were pushing for the playoffs at that time either, but we had a bunch of guys like that are trying to prove their worth, or a guy like DeLon Wright who's finally getting consistent minutes heading into a free agent year. So it wasn't an easy go. So, the writing was on the wall, and then I don't think any of us saw the firings coming. I think we all kind of assumed everything would be okay. There was a lot of pushback from the fans for changes in the front office because of really a lack of keeping the cupboard stocked. They didn't make good picks.
Right.
And they made a bad decision to roll the dice on Chandler Parsons, which at the time they felt like we need to do this. But the problem has been the problem a lot of times in small markets everywhere, you outbid yourself.
Right.
And your research probably should have been a little bit better. And so, those are the decisions that I've said. You give a guy 4 years and $94 million, and he essentially plays less than 82 games over 3 years, it's probably going to cost you your job. It's probably going to cost you your job in the long run, and that's the nature of it. So, as a radio host, as you know, sometimes you just have to take the stand. Hey, look, I don't necessarily agree with this.
Right.
But those are the guys getting paid to make those decisions. If they backfire, they'll be the ones who have to answer for it. Now, I didn't think the Chandler deal was a bad risk for trying to get him. I thought it was just too much money for what the situation was.
Well, it's a perfect segue you make into this, and then we got to take a break. We do have breaking news. You have a little sounder there, Eric, because we're very professional.
Okay.
Monty Williams is finalizing a deal. No surprise here, to become the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns. That's according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Not much of a surprise. We kind of knew that was where it was going, and obviously Monty's still involved in basketball right now.
Sure.
But we kind of saw that's where that was. That was also a what was thought to be a candidate along with the Torrey Messina for the Sacramento job that now has been filled by Luke Walton. So we'll take a break here. When we come back, we've got what's on tap, but also want to talk to you two because you and I have a little bit in common here. Both, close to the teams we cover.
Yeah.
Both befriended Dave Yeager.
Yeah, he's one of my closest friends.
Yeah,
in my
much more than
your
me.
NBA career. Yeah,
but you guys were extremely close.
Mm-hmm.
And at least on the outside, and perhaps when we peel back the curtain, but on the outside, I think a lot of people have. For example, I read 2 days after Coach Yeager was fired, I read quotes talking about his firing, and let the audience in when I was done that those were actually quotes from Chris Wallace. When Wallace let him go, it was very eerily similar.
Yeah.
So you and I can have a little bit of a conversation that I think might be interesting for people to hear on our friend Dave Yeager and the whole fallout. As Eric Hasseltine, the play-by-play voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, sits in with us to finish out a Friday right here. We're right back on Sports 1140 KHTK.
But it's the start of your workday. For a cold one, it's What's on Tap. Here's What's on Tap.
What's on Tap? Brought to you by Kyle's chewing again. It's 2 days in a row Kyle's been chewing during What's on Tap. It really is. When we go for three,
it's just brutal by me, man. I don't know why I keep thinking that we're gonna end that bit.
Like we've done that bit every single show.
I know, it's my fault.
The other part you're missing, he's spilling all over the floor while
yeah, I've got half my snacks just on the floor back here.
Mm-hmm.
What's on Tap? Brought to you by Arizona iced tea cans that are empty.
Let me tell you something. If you're going to smuggle your weed, you probably shouldn't do it in a checked Arizona iced tea can, okay? Read the rules, read the regulations. I know everything's easing up, and odds are wherever you're landing's probably going to have something for you for purchase and whatever. They've got stores all over the place. Don't risk it, D'Angelo.
Don't take it across state lines.
No,
what are we doing? It's
do like
not
everybody,
legal federally.
Do like everybody else does and put it in your shorts.
Yeah.
All right?
Come on.
Arizona
It's
iced
not metal.
All right. No, nobody's checking there.
Are the vape pens metal?
Oh, I can't. I'm sorry.
See, gosh,
wow. Are the what?
Are the vape pens metal?
They are. But they are. And know if you put it in a rolled up sock in your check baggage, it will still show up. So I've been told. Here's a word from Kyle Matz.
Get your tickets now for Brickfest Live, the Lego fan experience this weekend.
Not the Grizzlies and Kings. I'm sorry. Go. You're talking about this. I gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's a Lego fan experience this weekend at the Sacramento Convention Center. More at brickfestlive.com.
Brickfestlive.com.
Brickfest. It's the most important meal of the day.
I hate you so much. Eric Hasseltine's in studio. He is the play-by-play voice of the Memphis Grizzlies. He is a mentor, older brother / whatever of mine. Part of me is his fault. He once said a bad word on the air here at KHTK.
A few times.
But he said a really good one once. What was it, a colander? We've told the story, but it was a colander in the Raiders, right?
No, it was during the Cars are.
But you were on the way to the Raider game?
I was on my way to cover the Oakland Raiders, and on Sunday mornings from 8 to 10, we had a guy named Doug Browner who literally
Cars are.
Yeah, the Cars are.
He's the best.
He's the best.
He is.
I mean, and he was a good friend, and I lost contact, and I hate that. So if somebody knows Doug,
he's on Facebook. I'll hook you guys up.
Tell him I said hello.
Yeah.
I don't do all that social media now that I don't have a radio show.
Wow.
By the way.
Okay.
No, so we were driving down there, and it's 8:30 or 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. At the time, I think I'm 28 years old, so obviously I was probably out a little late Saturday night.
So we're what, 86?
No, 72.
72. Okay.
Back when radio actually was
Stabler.
the only medium.
Nice.
Yeah, we didn't even have TV back then.
Right.
It was amazing.
Right.
So we're talking about people cutting off. And he says, well, our guy's going down to the Raiders. Like, how's everything going on the roads? And I'm like, it's great when you get these blanking people, and the F started the word and the N ended it. So and he goes, hey-oh, and hits the button. So I counted to 7 in my head, and then I went, it's great when you get these old people to cut you off. Didn't miss a beat, except for the people that were listening on hold go, hey, he just said that word.
Right. That's before. That was right when streaming started.
I just started I just did, at that point, I didn't even care.
Kyle, you had a question for Mr. Hasseltine.
Yeah. Is it strange watching Marc Gasol play on a different team?
No, a little bit. I think after. Now I feel like the guys, get off my lawn.
Right.
After 20 years of being after seeing these guys, it was, I think, more surreal to see Zach first. And I think that kind of softened the blow, seeing Zach come to Sacramento and play against you, Tony Allen in a Pelicans uniform. So seeing Mark there, yeah, it's still weird. I think that it'll be maybe even weirder for Mike Conley. Those two guys, Zach, I probably shouldn't have felt as weird as Zach because he was on other teams and so was Tony. But those two guys really grew up in the Grizzlies organization. So seeing them now as fathers of two and married, when I remember them being 19 and 23 and just getting their careers going. I think that's the more surreal thing, that now you look at them as wily veterans.
Yeah.
When I think of them still as 19-year-old kids.
Conley's 31.
Yeah.
I mean, who'd have thunk that?
He wasn't exactly the same frame when he got to the NBA.
Right.
He's a little stronger now.
Were you surprised when you heard Dave Yeager was let go by him?
Yes. Very, because I thought that things here were.
Yes, I mean the Kings, not like me and Kyle.
Yeah, no. I know you guys are doing well. I actually try to listen when I'm in the car because I'm 2 hours ahead of you guys. Yeah. So if I'm out bouncing around, I'll flip it on.
Appreciate that.
On the radio.com app or
KHTK app.
Yeah,
good for you.
So I try to listen when I can because I like to keep up with what's going on around here. We were at our media day. And I heard, and I'm like, God, it's why? Because I see the talent and how much better this team was last year compared to the year before, and the guys there. But hey, if things aren't connecting, and these are the tough decisions management has to make, there's more to it than just X's and O's sometimes. And so I'm not here on a day-to-day basis, so I immediately called Grant, and I said, I texted him. I said, hey, when you can talk, hit me up.
Yeah.
And he just said, hey, it's a tough deal, but there was some, clashing of opinions or butting of heads. And at some point, I think what ends up happening sometimes is Dave's name is always going to be linked to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And it happens to be that Minnesota's job is being filled by an interim head coach who a lot of people felt like Ryan Saunders, although a very good coach, got the job to give him a shot because of their loyalty to Flip.
Sure, of course.
And I'm not knocking Ryan Saunders' coaching
totally natural
ability,
thought, though.
Right? And so a lot of people felt like, well, they're going to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
And then what do? Do they give the job full-time to Ryan, or do they go get an established guy? Well, the immediate thing in Minnesota, once they think we're going to go get an established guy, is what's Yeager's situation at SAC, or what's Dave Yeager doing? And sometimes I think maybe through no fault of his own, maybe it is through his fault. I don't know, because I haven't talked to him and said, were you out there trying to feel out the Minnesota job?
Sure.
We didn't have that conversation, so I'm just going to assume through no fault of his own, your name gets linked there. And
I was told multiple times he really wanted to stay here.
Yeah,
by
I know
that
from talking to him now and think that he loved it here.
Yeah, he did.
He obviously went through a pretty difficult situation that I don't want to get into because it's not mine to talk about.
Of course.
Off the court.
Yep.
And I just think sometimes, if you're a general manager and you hear, wait a minute, we got a team with a point guard that's on the rise. We got a young big that's looking like he's got the potential to be a multiple-time All-Star, and a guy that just flat out goes and gets you 20 and 10 every night, or 20 and 8 every night, and this guy wants to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
These guys, the egos are still there.
Sure.
And so I don't know exactly what happened. I was surprised. But then in typical Grizzly fashion, we looked at you guys and said, oh, yeah? Hold our beer.
Hold our beer. Here we go.
Hold our beer. We're going to let our GM and coach go out and talk to the media and act like everything's fine, handle the exit interviews, and then 2 hours later, they're getting their exit papers. And our organization's front office, and I have no problem saying I don't necessarily agree with this, because I'm respected enough by them, and I respect them enough to say, this is my opinion, it's your job, you do it how you want.
Sure.
I think that their logic for it, which was we didn't want to put our players in a tough position to have to answer this, was, okay, fair. What I would have done was push the press conferences back an hour, preface the players, and said, this is what we're doing.
Well,
out of time as always. You don't get to talk about my glorious retirement or my busted up finger.
I know. Well, why don't you come back on Monday?
Because I'll be in Memphis.
You call.
You can call me.
Yeah.
It actually requires knowing my phone number and dialing it up. This guy's shocked that I actually picked up the phone and called him, yet I call him every time I'm in town, and usually I get nothing.
This is not something I want to brag about.
Classic Dave.
We work with him every day.
Yeah. You guys are just happy he shows up, right?
Right.
This isn't
literally.
This isn't something I want to brag about. It's a bad character trait, but you're talking with Eric Hasseltine, who, as I said, is like an older brother, a mentor, a guy I look up to, somebody I'm actually close to, and we have communication issues. So it's not you guys. What are you doing tomorrow night, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
Nothing as of now.
All right.
I'm retired.
Oh, you guys are going to hang out? Oh, wow, cool.
No, he just wanted to know what I was doing. Hey, good. That's great. That's great.
Oh, same. All right.
That's Eric Hasseltine. That's Kyle Madsen. That's Jay Mars. And you all are y'all. Have a great weekend. As I always say, be safe. Have a fun weekend, but be safe. And we want to see at least one more of you here, 6 a.m. Monday. Jim Rome is next. Enjoy the rest of your broadcast day right here on Sports 1140 KHTK. Bye-bye now.